pain does create beauty, even though it's like you would never wish what has happened onto somebody. Like, I think pain connects people more than pleasure.
Meet Julia Gao Miller. She is a martial arts content creator, entrepreneur, and Muay Thai fighter. She has built a large following, traveling the world, training, striking, and showcasing the best gyms and fighters globally. This episode is for anyone wanting to turn their passion into a full-time brand and business, and to understand the personal growth required to share your journey online. How's your relationship with your audience? Because you built a big following, they're very engaged. How do you experience that as like a relationship?
My relationship with my audience has evolved as I've gotten older.
Do you still enjoy it? Do you still find like it's a great way to express yourself?
I've been a content creator since I was 20 and I'm 28, so I've been creating content for 8 years. And the reason why is because I just enjoy storytelling. My whole content creation journey has always been document, don't create. I'm literally just documenting my life and me going through my journey of life. Also, while bearing in mind, trying to create pieces of content that would also be useful to the audience. And how I do that, and in a way that is fulfilling for me, is like
How's dating been, traveling around?
Yeah, you asked me about this. My biggest answer is like, when you stop looking and instead you focused on your relationship with yourself, it's actually so much more beautiful.
Everyone comes in with some sort of like divine spark. They come in with some sort of something that they want to put out, some sort of purpose. I personally believe we all have that. And that will drive you to do nearly anything. And you want to get that out. It's your music, it's your art, it's your whatever it is.
Creative expression.
Your creative expression. That is powerful. Creative energy is a powerful source.
Now, I strongly believe, every human is like inherently worthy. And if you give them that love and you let them know from an early age, no matter what, you are inherently worthy. Like, all these accomplishments should come from a place of not being like, you're not worthy unless you accomplish. It should be like coming from a place of inspiration. That's the theme of this year. You are inherently good enough. And from there, go off, be, create, right?
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Hey, this has been really fun.
If someone asks like, what do you do? What would you say?
I say podcast host now.
Okay, so you're going all in.
Well, I'm going for that.
host.
So the reason I'm going for that is because, I learned this when I was in the music industry. So before I got into the musical industry, well, basically I was in the music industry, then I got into teaching. So I was a secondary school teacher for 2 years.
How old were you when you got into the music?
Like, so young, like 14. But
Really?
This was in Cyprus. So I was playing in bands. I was doing a lot of stuff, making, like, for a kid, a silly amount of money. Didn't know what to do with it.
Nice.
Lost it.
Were you going to school?
I was rocking up like late, hungover to school. I thought I was a rock star.
No
I thought
way.
I was an
That is
absolute
pretty
rock star.
badass, though.
I thought it was
say,
badass.
At 14, like, I definitely got some cool points for that.
I got a few cool points.
Yeah.
But so I did that, and then I went. But that was in Cyprus, and then I went back to the UK.
So wait, you were a DJ or you were?
Well, both.
Okay.
So,
with both of.
This was strumming.
Okay.
And playing in bands, and then went back to the UK. Lost all my music network, so had to kind of start again. But then I ended up, as I was building into the music scene in the UK, I ended up going into education because, those, what's the saying? Those who know do, those who don't know teach. It's like, if you don't know what to do, go and be a teacher.
Really?
Which is a weird thing.
Interesting.
Because it's a hard job. So I turned.
But there had to be something else. Did you just feel like a calling to teach, or was it just literally you just didn't know what to do?
So both my parents were like head teachers in like international schools, and they had a very nice lifestyle, very comfortable. We're in Cyprus; it's like a Mediterranean island, so I was like, oh, teaching's chill. I'll just do that.
Did you grow up in international schools?
Yeah. Did you?
Kind of. Yeah. Like, I went to like a French international school in Beijing for like 3 years. Yeah.
Did you actually grow up in China?
And then no, I grew up in California until I was 12, and then we moved to China when I was like 12 to 15. And
do you speak Mandarin?
会说.
会说.
会说. 对.
Nice.
Yeah, I know. So, I'm grateful because like it'd be sad to be half Chinese, and like a lot of Chinese Americans cannot speak Chinese, so still being able to is nice.
That's cool. I want to learn.
It's hard.
Yeah.
It's if there wasn't the character system, it would be like one of the easiest languages to learn. Like, if they just like got rid of the character system and just did the Latin phonetics.
Yeah.
Like, it would be one of the easiest languages because there's no conjugation. Like, the grammar is very, very simple.
Can you write?
I can like recognize 1 out of 10 characters. So it's hard. But
Thank you, boss.
Yay!
Yeah, the language absolutely fascinates me.
It's beautiful. Like, honestly, I would never say get rid of the character system because there's so much history that's like interlaced in it. And there's just so much symbolism, and it's like, it's beautiful. Like, just if you're studying it for a hobby, it's really cool, actually. Yeah, I mean, like when you're in school and you're forced to learn it, you're just like, why is this fucking like complicated, so stupid? Why don't you just get rid of it and use like the Latin alphabet? So stupid.
Yeah.
But it's so crazy and it's so interesting because, you know, like China has like a firewall around it. And so all of their social media platforms are different from the rest of the world's social media platforms. Like we watch YouTube, we watch Instagram, what else? Facebook. You know, none of those social media platforms exist. There's like replicas. Basically.
It's like WeChat or something.
Yeah, WeChat. It's like, it's all Douyin or like, it's all like different social media things. So there's like this like...
Do we have napkins?
So gross.
This is going well.
No, I'm going to laugh at you and then I'm going to jinx myself and like spill all over myself also. And be like,
Well, this is one of the dangers of a beard. Any macho and a sort of moustache, you're asking for trouble.
Do you get like a macho moustache?
I do, and then I like try and talk to someone in a cool way, and then they're like, you've got something on your face and it's dripping down your shirt. I think we're good. Do I look pretty? Yeah. Cool. Sorry, yes, social medias.
Yeah, so that's also the one thing that's like so interesting about China because it's like this hidden world almost. Like sometimes I almost see it like, you know, the Avengers movie Wakanda where it's like this hidden world and you just don't know what's going on behind the scenes. And recently there was this content creator. He's normally based in Bangkok and he creates a lot of like content in Bangkok, but he traveled to China.
Oh, is that Travis?
Travis.
Yeah. I've met Travis,
Yeah, I met him one time and he seems like a cool dude, but like his content is so funny. That was the thing that I just like loved. I was just like, ha ha ha, you're so funny. So, but then when he was creating that series in China, I was like, oh my God, I have to go next year. Yeah. Literally just his content.
I really want to go.
Yeah,
I want to go. Yeah, I want to go for like 6 months, and I want to learn the language. And
let's go.
Do you want to go? We'll do it. Okay, locked in.
Yes.
Heard it here first.
I know. I literally was like, "Mom, what's the best time of year to go?" And she's like, "Yeah." She was like wishy-washy, and I was just like, "Okay, I'm gonna Google it." And she's like, "October, duh." She's like, "I didn't just live there for like 30 years of my life, but it's October. This is the best time to go." I was like, "Okay, we're going there October." Nice. So.
I'm obsessed with, so I'm really into like Taoism. It's like a philosophy that's really, really helped me. But it's ancient Chinese. Lao Tzu is ancient Chinese philosophy. Yeah. But one of the things, so I was reading all around it, and one of the reasons I want to learn Chinese is because, or ancient Chinese, but I need to learn Chinese first.
Oh, you need to talk with my dad.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, he got a PhD in Chinese comparative literature.
Oh, really? That would be good.
Yeah, no, he would love to talk about that.
I'd love to hear about it. But what fascinates me with it, so obviously you spoke about like Latin. So Latin phonetics. Latin, we built this language on phonetics. So the reason we're able to communicate now is because of like the sounds we're hearing, etc. Makes sense. Okay. But it's inefficient when we write that down. So we're writing in phonetics. So when we write a word, we write that word down so that we process it in our brain as we would say it, if that makes sense. So we're writing down basically like a phonetic word.
And Chinese is not?
And Chinese is not. So
what do you mean?
Chinese, the whatever it's called, the calligraphy, the symbols, it's visual. So,
yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So you're able to process so much more because it's visual. So it changed, but that's just interesting to me because that changes everything about how you communicate. That changes everything about just literature, art, everything.
You think so?
I think so.
Oh,
because it's a more visual. So must be a more visual culture. Because if that's what they've put into their language, and then we put sound or like audio into our language, I just know. I just find it interesting. So it's been on the list to
potentially,
to learn.
Yeah.
So your dad can come on the pod as well. We'll go to China, and then your dad can.
He's American. Yeah, he's in East Coast. Yeah, I mean, he would love, oh my God, because he used to be a professor. So nice. Yeah, he would just write you a whole essay. You'd be like, oh, you ready to read like a 20-page essay on that stuff? If you are, then then I would totally,
Are we rolling, are we? Cool. Are you good?
So, Tom, who are you?
Damn, she's got me. This is my podcast. Are you good to do B-roll and stuff as well? Yeah, thank you, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, we'll just roll whenever. How's the matcha, by the way? Good. Yeah.
What did you say?
Yeah, I'm gonna be careful with that. Yeah.
Just like an episode of us spilling matcha all over us.
Chaos. Absolute chaos. I love it.
Oh my god. Okay.
Yeah, so about like a thumb away from your face. You can move it around and
okay.
yeah, you don't have to, you can like, there's also fine. Whatever.
Is this good?
Yeah, sweet.
Think?
Yeah.
Okay.
You can move it, do whatever you want. And
I wish we had a mirror in here. I want to like selfie mirror.
you look
Is
wonderful.
that good? Do I?
You look pretty. Yeah.
Okay.
Have I got matcha on my face? Are you lying? Because I don't know how to get rid of that in post-production. Like
Just put like a little white dot.
Yeah.
like a fake mustache.
Yeah. It is green. It is green screen, so I could replace it with something. Yeah.
Oh, it is green. Oh, so funny.
Well, how long did you spend in China as a Chinese student?
No, I was in a French school actually, a French international school.
Okay.
Yeah, it was.
You speak French?
It was better
cool.
than my Chinese.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Why?
Because it was cheaper.
Because it was cheaper. Cool. Good answer.
Yeah, like instead of like the English international schools were like an hour away, and they were probably I think they were like 30 grand a year or something.
Yeah.
And I think like the French international school was less expensive. And then my father was like, you went to a bilingual school in California. It's great, no problem. We'll put you in this just completely French school. And like the first day I was there, the teacher said something to me, and I was just looking at her like, fuck me, I don't understand a single thing she's saying. It was just like bilingual school bullshit. I didn't learn a thing
You were
in that
12.
bilingual school. Yeah.
You were 12, yeah.
Yeah.
I had a similar thing. First international school I went to, I was like maybe 7 or 8.
Mm.
And it was American teachers. But you write in this bloody cursive thing. So
Wait, you don't have cursive in the UK?
we call it, what do we call it? Like joined up handwriting. So we do like the
I
letters.
thought that was a French thing.
What, the cursive?
Yeah.
No, I think it's American. It might be Canadian. That could be true.
Are you serious?
I don't know. But basically this teacher was like writing on the chalkboard and it was so squiggly. And I had the same experience as you. I was like, what? Like, that's not English. I don't recognize any of that. Maybe I'm an idiot. Yeah. Slow, just trying to copy it down. Like that kind of looks right. Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's funny.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. International schools are nice though. I had a good experience, honestly. Because like my experience of international school is like generally with international schools, everyone knows what it's like to be the new kid at one point. That's my assumption. And you can tell me if I'm wrong. And so because you've known what it's like to be the new kid, you always like are more welcoming to the new kids that come in.
100%. Yeah, I found that. And I was almost, because in Britain we're quite, what's the word? Like sarcastic and mean is quite
banter.
Yeah, we have banter.
Yeah.
So
but is that different?
So if someone's like overly nice to you, you're very suspicious of them.
Really?
Like,
oh, that's like Californian culture all the way. Yeah, British like hate California.
Yeah, we don't hate you. We just think you're a bit floaty. But we're all in Bali now, so we've all got a floaty side to us, I think. But yeah, it's exactly the same in international schools. It was super friendly, and then you soon learn that as soon as someone comes in, and also you don't know how long they're going to be there. Some people just come in for 6 months and then they disappear off, so you want to you become fast friends, and then you also get over the fact that people are leaving as well, and you make new friends. It's a bit sad.
I liked international schools. I liked because you have people from all over the world, and it's like a pretty like open-minded group. Because I also compare that because after the international school I went to, like it was a private school, but it was like people who had grown up in the same place their whole life, never left. And there was a stark contrast in terms of like what they thought was cool, their hobbies, everyone was just smoking pot and like getting high, and there's not really much dreaming in a way. Yeah. But I can't like paint that with a brush for all schools. Maybe that was just a specific school that I was in.
But you had the contrast, right?
Yeah, huge contrast.
What was it that made you want to get on the road and do this nomad traveler thing?
Well, I think when you have you grow up in a travel family, like when you have traveled when you were young, you realize the at least like I had such a good experience. Like when I was young and I was thinking back about my favorite memories in the past 10 years, it was like, oh, when my parents brought me to India. Oh, when we went to Turkey. Oh, like when we were traveling. And that was always my best memories was when we were exploring. So that kind of like crossed over when I grew up, and I was just like, travel is so amazing. It's so incredible to like go into the world and see like and have adventure and like see these different things. So I always had that kind of wanderlust sounds like the wrong, that's like such an over cliched word, but it was just, once you get a taste of it, you get like a travel bug. There's just nothing there's it's so cool to be able to like hop into a new place, and the world is like so diverse and so colorful and so like culturally and like how the way people live, and I find it so fascinating. I'm trying not to swear.
You can swear as much as you want.
Okay.
Yeah, sweet. Yeah.
Yeah, like I'm just thinking back about like the different places that you see, and especially when you see it for the first time. Like when I came to Bali for the first time, I was like, nothing can recreate that experience of going to a place for the first time, because I remember coming here and I was like, whoa, like the temples there's like the roads are so narrow, like there's kites that are in the sky, like flying high in the sky, and these like rice fields right next to these like narrow roads, and there's all these like dark temples everywhere, and it was so different, and the people were so friendly too, and it was it's so cool like experiencing that all for the first time. And the thing is like, this is just the tip of the iceberg. Like for me, it's like I have a nomad lifestyle, but there's still so many places that I haven't gone yet. So many. And so having that, like, oh, there's still so much to discover is before we fucking die.
Yeah. I'm going to ask you about that because I have a few questions there. How did you make that happen then? How did you make it from, hey, I want to travel the world a little bit and experience these things? How did you get yourself? Did you like book a one-way flight and just be like, I'm going to make this work? What was the story? Yeah,
how I originally started the brand Fight Nomad Julia was originally, I think this was like circling back to like in my early 20s. I originally wanted to be a game developer.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
And so nerd coming out. Let me put my nerd glasses on. Because like in my head, I got it into my head that when I was 18, I was like, hey, I want to design educational games, because at that time I was not having a good time in school. I actually like dropped out of school because I was just going through some stuff. And fuck life. Yeah. But I was studying for all these advanced placement courses. And so in the US, they call it AP courses, and it gives you credit for going to university and also looks good on your resume. And I remember I was like reading these like and basically what I did is I ordered the prep books for the APs, and I just read page after page, and I memorized the entire fucking book. Like I made like stacks of flashcards, and then I would go to the gym on the treadmill, and I just walk on the treadmill, and I just memorize the entire thing. I was just like, this is so boring as fuck. But I was like, but at that time, my narrative in my head was I wanted to get out of where I was at that point. I wasn't happy where I was at, and I thought my ticket out was to go to university. And so I was putting everything into that. And then to like take a break from all the studying, I would play like games on the iPad. And I'd be like, oh my God, okay. I set the Pomodoro timer, study and then play video games, study and then play games. And then it got to a point where I was just like, this information could be so much better packaged. Like, why does it have to be so cut and dry? Like, it was just like, literally, there's no imagination, no creativity. Like, learning can be fun. It's just like, you're just being lazy about it and putting it in a very boring format. And I was like, all because, it was like, like AP chemistry, AP biology, like AP history, AP art history. it could be interesting. I was like, I could be like a robber, like going into the Louvre and like, you know, robbing these like artworks and then like, you know, learning facts about like the different pieces of art. Like it can be fun. And like in my head, I was just like, I'm going to make this happen. That's what I'm going to do. This is my purpose. Wow. That's a long, wow. Okay. I really went off topic there. So your original question was, oh shit. Like, how do I circle back to your original question?
Segue, do it. Abrupt, go.
So, well, anyways, okay, cut to the chase. Oh my God. Shit, sorry.
That was great.
I was like, wait. This is going to take me like an hour to get back to like the original question.
I love this.
But at one point, so, okay, let's fast forward a couple years. I'm now a software developer.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
So I am working at a company for the first time, like earning a good salary. I'm at that age where, because I ended up dropping out of university. I'm not going to talk about that. It's another story for another time.
Okay, got it.
But then I ended up mentoring under a software developer, and it's like a really accomplished software developer, and he helps guide me in the right direction. And then that's how I ended up becoming a software developer. It's not by going to university. It's by literally working for free for a senior developer and then having him be like, you need to learn this coding language. You need to learn that, work on this project, And so it got to a point where it's like everyone my age was graduating from university, and then they had they didn't even have the right coding like languages that were needed for jobs. And they're like, oh, Julia, what coding language should I learn? And you're just like, you literally have a CS degree and you don't know how to code. And so it was very interesting at that point. So like I got my first it was a job for a marketing agency, and it was like, you know, one of those like super hip young marketing agencies where they like super cool. Everyone's in their like early mid 20s to late like mid 30s. But I think like there's a lot of things about my personality that makes it like I don't obey orders very well. If something doesn't make sense, then I don't want to fucking do it. I got fired within 3 months. So sad.
Nice.
Yeah. I understand though.
What, were you questioning things, or you were saying, hey,
oh my God,
like
I'm not even going to go into it. I'm so embarrassed. But then at that point, I was because then that was like my experience of the corporate. Well, it wasn't corporate. It was like, because it was supposed to be a hip company, but I was just I was like feeling, ugh, this is like so like tame. Like I felt like a house pet, you know, where I was just like, I feel like I have a collar on. I'm just like going to my cubicle. Like, of course, everyone's hip and young, but it's like
surface level things, right? It's like, oh, there's a sleep pod.
There has to be more spice to life. And at that time, I was getting really into Muay Thai, and that was something that like lit me up. Yeah. I was like, oh my God, this is quite badass. Like I was never like a tough girl, so I was like, I'm gonna punch stuff and be badass. And that kind of felt almost like more real and more like I just gave like more spice to life, whereas the fight scene felt spicy. I don't have a better word for it. Whereas the day job felt tame and a little bit like boring. Like everyone was just flabby and yeah. So
I get that. There's a few things there, and like I think there's an interesting insight that you picked up on from a young age, where you're like, learning can be fun. And I think this is, so a lot of the work I do as well is I work with kind of entrepreneurs, and I help them build out their coaching programs as well to actually get success. Everyone wants to do sales and marketing. Yeah, it's important. But once someone's in, you want to actually consider what's their learning journey going to be like, and how do you get them to take action and be self-learners as well? Because you don't want them to come in and need you. The idea is that they no longer need you. They've learned the skills.
Yeah.
Anyway, but the big overarching thing there, and this is your insight as well, is you need a reason why. You need a why behind your learning. It's like when you were going through all of those cards, the reason you were able to just consume it all is because you said, it was like the narrative in my head, this is going to help me get X. So the biggest thing with learning is focus on that reason why. Focus on where this is going to get you. And then it's just, you do it because you're like, okay, yeah, that needs to be done to get me there. And it's all within a bigger picture. And I think that's often something that is lost in education, in the schooling system, in these online coaching.
Why? Oh, interesting. Oh.
There needs to be a why. Why are we doing this? Why are we learning this?
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, I challenge anyone. So I was like secondary school, kids age 12 to 18. They need a strong fucking reason why, because they do not want to be there. They do not want to be there. They want to be, I don't know, out kicking each other, kissing, whatever, anything else but listening to you.
Okay, have you experienced this? Oh, stop laughing. It's not something funny. Oh my God. I'm being serious here.
Go.
So every time I've encountered someone who's been homeschooled, they've actually, in my perspective, been like 10 times more interesting and more smart than anyone that's gone through a traditional educational curriculum. Like every time I've met someone, like I was just like, wow, you're really smart. And then I find out they're homeschooled. Have you ever experienced that? Like with the people that you meet?
Yeah, I'd say there's definitely, you do need to socialize kids in some way, particularly from a younger age. They need socialization and they need to be around people their own age and they learn a lot that way. But you're absolutely right.
But that's assuming that homeschooled kids don't have socialization.
Yeah, so if you are homeschooling, you need to make sure that you have weekly socializing because you learn a lot through others, right? And but you're absolutely right, because look, if there's only two of you at home and you've got one teacher, your mum, your parent, whoever you've brought in, it's just so efficient. You can get done in 2 hours what would take a week for most kids, because most kids in like a comprehensive school or like a state school, like half the time you tell them to stop chewing gum, take off your coat, do this, right? Why do you swear at so-and-so? It's everything else but learning. So you can just be with those homeschool kids. It's like, hey, here's some knowledge. Hey, and then what, you go out and follow your curiosity for the rest of the day.
But also, I have strong opinions about just the educational system in general. I like literally the fact that I memorized all of this thing and then regurgitated it. In today's society, there's no point. There's no benefit of memorizing. It's like our educational system is still built in the age pre-internet age. If we're still memorizing stuff.
And pre-AI as well.
Yeah. And so now it's like, if I look back, it's like skills that would really benefit is like, oh my God, like a key skill, I think, is like learning how to manage your emotions, learning how to communicate. Because like the age from 12 to 18 is when you get the hormonal, you know, like all your hormones, like you get puberty, and then you get super emotional and you don't know how to handle all of these emotions. I think like that's such a crucial skill to learn at that age, especially whenever you feel everything so much and like all the self-consciousness comes is, okay, all these feelings are coming up. How do we process them? How do we transmute it into something productive? I feel like that would be very beneficial. I think I definitely struggled a lot in my early 20s because like when I was 16, 17, I went through like, I was having a hard time and I ended up developing bad habits for numbing the emotions. And that, I think that it definitely held me back a lot in life. And in a way it was good because like hardship always like kind of makes you the person you are today. But I think like if I had learned the skills of being like, okay, you're feeling these strong negative emotions, here's some like productive ways to process them. It's like, totally okay to feel this. But instead, like I started like emotional eating. I started numbing myself, just watching TV all the time to try to escape, practicing escapism. And now if I can look back at like if someone that age going through that, I would know exactly, be like, okay, I see what you're doing. You're trying to escape reality because you're feeling these negative emotions and you don't want to deal with it. But actually sitting with it, talking about it, and being validated and understanding yourself, what you're going through, talking to a therapist, a good therapist, I think that's so beneficial. So I feel like we're focusing on the wrong things in education now. It's an outdated system.
How do you manage your emotions?
How do I manage?
How do you do it now?
Okay, serious question. How do I manage my emotions? Now I notice that if I'm not practicing self-care, so if I'm not getting enough sleep, if I am not, sleep is the number one pillar. If I'm not taking care of myself physically, and then it becomes a lot harder to manage emotions. Like the shortness, my impatience is like like just like, you know, like your like the amount of like patience you have before you lose your shit is like just way lower. So I think like for me, the number one preventative thing is like having good self-care, you know, taking care of yourself. Like, because I notice whenever, excuse me, whenever I get close to like losing my shit, it's because I have not been taking care of myself. And it has nothing to do with anyone outside, because, you know, like what ends up happening is I'm just like, oh, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. But in reality, I'm just like, haven't slept enough. So
yeah, it's sometimes that simple, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting, like your insight on, okay, well, education, hey, how about we actually start teaching this kind of EQ stuff as well? Like, let's teach kids to manage this and understand it, and yeah, give them these tools. But you can't give to others that which you don't already have yourself. I can tell you from experience as a secondary school teacher, you're on about 4 hours sleep a night. You're hammering the caffeine.
Oh, God.
Like, that was said to me when I first started my training. They were like, oh, it was kind of a joke. Like, yeah, you'll get a caffeine addiction. I was like, no, that's true. You get a serious caffeine addiction. So you're already quite, what's the word? Like antsy and irritable. And you're on lack of sleep. And you're dealing with teenagers.
Jesus.
So trying to teach them, like, you can't lead by example there.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's already, you're like in survival mode.
100%. But my personal opinion on that is that it's actually set up deliberately that way. So I think teachers, I think there could be a lot more funding in education. And I think the money's there. But I think it's deliberately restricted to keep teachers in a scarcity mindset, because then you transmute that into the kids, scarcity mindset. That makes them controllable. That makes them go along with the news. That makes them go along with everything that they've been told, obey authority. You give them low pay. And basically the way the teaching system, along with a lot of public service as well, you're rewarded. You get an increase in income for time in the game. So doesn't matter about the quality of my teaching, doesn't matter about the value of my outputs, it's how long do I stay in the game. So if you're rewarding just surviving, who ends up staying in schools? It's the ones who just couldn't think of anything better to do. No offense, couldn't think of anything better to do, have just survived, and then they finally get to a comfortable position, a comfortable salary. They have no other skills that they can go out into industry with. So they just sit there. And then because of the unions, how the unions work, once you have a certain position, you can't be brought back down. So you can't be like fired unless it's like complete negligence or something like that. So basically you just have all of these blocks, all of these teachers who come in with all of this energy, like, I'm going to change the world.
Yeah.
That is stamped out of you quickly.
Wow.
You know? So my personal, I think it's set up that way deliberately, because then you just produce all of these very good workers. And like you said, it's all about retention. Learn this, recite this. Don't question it. Obey. So then it's just...
so you think it's deliberately set up like that? Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I wouldn't be surprised at all.
So how did you move away from teaching and then to where you are now?
Yeah, so I was very lucky when the pandemic hit. So I was already had like a lot of skills in the music industry. I was a very good guitarist. I was also producing. My degree was in music engineering production. I'd worked on a load of products, had a lot behind me. So basically I just started, really kind of hammering the producing, and it was house music at the time. Started to do well, signed to a few labels.
Was this in the UK?
This was in the UK.
Okay.
And then and this is how I got into kind of like the online world. I was a very good producer. I've been doing it for years. And I just put out on a different Instagram at the time. I just said, hey, I'm going to put up a video a week of me making beats. You can give me some money and you can have access to it. And immediately within maybe 2 or 3 weeks of just a few stories, no understanding about marketing or sales, I'd kind of like doubled my teaching salary. So I was like, for like an hour video a week of something I actually enjoyed. And I was like, right.
Doubled your teaching salary.
Yeah. And it was easy. It was relatively easy, and it was something I was passionate about. So that's what kind of got me into. Then I started learning about marketing and all of this stuff, and just kind of getting better at it, helping other artists, all of this sort of stuff snowballed from there. But yeah, that's how I then went up, kind of got out teaching, and then I was also gigging and doing all that sort of stuff. Played about in the music industry for a little bit. Unfortunately, it's a very toxic industry with a lot of. Again, I kept picking difficult industries to actually survive in, for me personally, because if you think of the life of a DJ, it sounds very sexy. You're kind of like flying around the world, doing all this stuff. You maybe
I hear DJs burn out a lot.
Well, yeah, you're like doing let's say you're doing 3 gigs a week. You get used to a certain amount of pay. It takes you a while to establish yourself. So maybe you're 30, maybe you're kind of late 30s. you're hanging around 18-year-olds, all the promoters, all the people partying are 18-year-olds off the head on cocaine and MDMA. Okay, that's fun when you're 18. But when you're 30 and you're trying to get your shit together and you maybe have a wife or a family and you don't even see them and you're in a different city every week, it's actually a very lonely job. And I was lucky. I was some very like well-known DJs. I was at festivals with them and stuff. And yeah, just had these kind of honest conversations with them. And they were like, it's kind of golden handcuffs. You know, I'm actually, it sounds fun. And then you have the temptation of like drugs as well, because it's there all the time. And they're like, oh, I'm trying to stop it, but I'm tired. I'm off the plane. Okay, just give me some cocaine. So you have these bad habits. And then all of these DJs, they die when they're like 40, because it's like live fast, die young. And so yeah, that was another awakening where I was like, maybe this isn't the one. I need to.
So wait, did you go from teaching to DJing full time?
Yeah, DJ and producing.
Okay.
We had a record label as well. Did that, and then I just kind of like hammered the coaching stuff. I was like, right, I can get good at the coaching stuff.
How did you transition to the coaching? That was helping other DJs build their brand?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was other DJs, other music producers, anyone, any sort of creative. I worked with a few artists, a few writers. It was anyone, I resonated quite well with creative people. And that kind of like starving artist mentality. It was like, hey, you can actually get paid quite well for this. It's actually really simple. And the nice thing about artists is people value them. People do value their work. They value what they put out. So when you give them an option to join or get closer to you, people take it. So artists can actually monetize themselves quite easily without much persuasion involved.
So why do you think there's a concept of starving artists? Is it a mental block that is causing them to be a starving artist?
What a great question. That's a really good question.
I'm listening.
You're listening. Yeah, I think there's kind of some sort of false honor in it. Because
so it is it's a belief system.
It's a belief system. You hear this in the music industry all the time. It's like, oh, it's my passion, but you'll never make money, or only 1% ever make it. And what it does, there's a load I could go into here actually. But the music industry is very gated and it's very guarded. A lot of creative industries are. You have your core people, core labels, and they gatekeep. And then you have to sing in a certain way. Like you have to behave in a certain way.
Is it still like that now with social media?
Less. But you look at like the P. Diddy stuff and all this, he's one of the gatekeepers. So you have these gatekeepers in the industry and they say, okay, right, yeah, we can blow you up, but be like this, come to these parties, do these things. And then gradually over time, your dream, which you had all that creative energy that you wanted to put in, is slightly, is perverted essentially. And then you become part of the system. And the system survives by reinforcing the system. So it's a mental construct. It doesn't actually exist, but that's why these people have so much power and control, is because they have to get you to dance and sing and move in that way so that they can maintain the power. So yeah, this to a lesser extent.
Yeah, talking about P. Diddy, I was just watching Justin Bieber's he had this song that was like yummy, yummy. But it was actually him processing his trauma. Like it's kind of sad because like what you're talking about like the things that you had to do in order to get where you wanted to be. But in the process, you lose yourself or you betray yourself by doing that.
I can tell you how that works.
What?
I can tell you why and how that works.
Tell me.
From how kind of woo-woo into spiritual stuff are you?
Sure, hit me. Yeah.
Okay. You'll be open-minded for a little bit. So I can tell you exactly why they do it, and hopefully we can put this out as well. But I can tell you how it works on an energetic level, and this will make sense to you. So Justin Bieber comes into the world, and I believe personally, and I think maybe you'll have these experiences, everyone comes in with some sort of like divine spark. They come in with some sort of something that they want to put out, some sort of purpose. I personally believe we all have that. And that will drive you to do nearly anything. And you want to get that out. It's your music, it's your art, it's your whatever it is.
Creative expression.
Your creative expression. That is powerful. Creative energy is a powerful source. It's the same as everything that's going on here in the world. So someone like Justin Bieber comes in, he has all of this creative potential and creative energy that he wants to get out. Now, what happens is, as soon as someone sees that, someone like P. Diddy or these other kind of moguls, they'll take that and they'll go, yeah, we can make that happen. We can make that dream come true. So you now view them as the avenue to your dream. And without going into too much detail about the graphicness of it, but let's say that they do certain very inappropriate things to these young artists, as it seems is coming out. Now, if I make a piece of music or I make a bit of artwork, like the Mona Lisa, whatever, if I put something creatively out into the world, it has a creative force attached to it. When you consume a bit of music that I produce, it can make you feel a certain way without me actually doing anything. So it's my creative energy is then channeled to you and you can experience something. Same with a beautiful bit of artwork. You can view that bit of artwork and feel something. So this is why art can actually change the world. So we spoke about these systems and these systems wanting to maintain themselves. If I then take Justin Bieber and I do something very inappropriate and illegal to him, I have now imprinted onto his creative expression. So out of the purity, I've now taken his blueprint of creative expression, which was pure. I've now taken this away, and I've put my blueprint of fear and shame. And now
my God,
that's being experienced by you. If I consume a bit of Justin Bieber's music, instead of it being that pure creative expression, now I've got the reason I get power from it is because I've put my blueprint on it as well, my controlling blueprint of fear, of shame, of whatever it is. Now I actually have control over you. And you look at like rape victims as well. Often they don't come out for years, all of this sort of stuff, because they are in so much fear. They don't believe people will believe them. And it's the same thing happening in the music industry. They're controlled, but then they're controlling what you're listening to as well. And that's why it gives them more power. Does that make sense?
I'm still processing a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a bit wild, isn't it?
No, I mean, it is, that is something to process, but I think I'm in agreement. When you do, especially like circling back to what you said about like someone having like a pure creative expression, but as you go through life, you experience, but I think that's also life too. I don't think like, I think that's what kind of like adds nuance and beauty to our creativity, is actually processing the pain, processing the bad things that happen. And it adds, like, that's why it's like oftentimes if you're a young artist, maybe the things that you sing about or the things that you create is naive because you haven't experienced a lot of pain. And I think sometimes pain does create beauty, even though it's like you would never wish what has happened onto somebody. Like, but there is something that I think pain connects people more than pleasure. So not to say like, oh, Justin Bieber should have gone through that. But then it's like when he's gone through that and he's processed it and he's opened up about it, and it's given the space for so many other people who've gone through that to connect with him. And maybe even by like going through his pain, he is helping the world so much more than just having a baby, song where he like sings about a girl. It's like, he's healing a lot of people by healing himself and then like sharing that journey. Yeah,
I fully agree. It's pain to power. So even this like
so it's really sad. And I was just like, going down a rabbit hole and watching the music video. But then I was just like, it's so sad. And they said that while he was making that music video, he kept on breaking down. And it's really sad, but it's also really healing because he's doing that as a way of processing his trauma. And it's also, now that all of this is coming out, it's giving, other people who've gone through abuse, saying like, hey, this celebrity who you think was untouchable is processing it. You can process it. You can face it also.
That's beautiful. I love that. I fully agree. And I'm a big believer that everything's going to work out beautifully. And, these things that are coming out now, I think we're all fed up of being lied to.
Yeah.
We're stepping into truth. We can spot it. When you're more in truth with yourself, you can spot it in other people, which means you can also, you mirror like the lies that come out. So that's why all this stuff is coming out. It's because there's a bunch of like a collective. We're like, we can see what's going on. So it all starts unraveling. And I think it ultimately, it is totally for the good. And like you said, if these guys can heal and could still express, that just gives more power to these other people as well. So yeah, I love that. Wow, we got deep into a conspiracy rabbit hole here.
This is going all over the place in this conversation.
Let me check my questions. Right.
I don't think any of this is useful. Like, my audience is like, why are you fucking talking about this?
I love it.
But it's so fun though. It's like I genuinely enjoy having this conversation with you. I don't want to change the subject. It's interesting.
Let's go from there. I like that though. Yeah. So you said that my audience now. How's your relationship with your audience? Because you built a big following. They're very engaged. How do you experience that as like a relationship?
Yeah.
What's it like knowing your audience, and what does that even mean? I'm really curious about that.
Well, the thing that is interesting is like as I've gotten, because I've been a content creator since I was 20 and now I'm 28. So I've been creating content for 8 years. And the reason why is because I just enjoy storytelling. And it came more from the enjoyment of the process. And then that's why I've done it. So my relationship with my audience has evolved as I've gotten older. So when I was in my early 20s, sometimes I actually overshared a lot because I was quite lonely. I struggled with it's weird because it was like a combination of being confident, but then I'd go through like periods of confidence and periods of massive social anxiety. Social media was a way it was actually like a little bit like a cry for help sometimes. Like whenever I was going through pain, I would put it out on social media. And then as I got older, because at that time when I was younger, I didn't have any like close friendships. And then when I got older, probably in my mid 20s, I started to realize the value of having like really strong girl friendships actually. Because at that time I didn't have any. And the reason why I didn't have these girl friendships was because I was so caught up in my own world. Like, I was dealing with a lot of negative emotions. Like my parents split up when I was 17 and I really did not handle it well because at that time, it's like, not only did they split up, but we also moved from China to the States. Then we moved to the school and nobody like included me. It was like the school that wasn't like that everyone grew up together. And so it was a lot that was happening. And I think for a good portion of like my teens into my early 20s, I was battling myself. I was so immersed in my own mental battle that I didn't look out into the world to make friends. So as I got older, I started leaning more on friendships, realizing like developing these friendships with women or where it's like, it was okay to cry in front of them. It was okay to like not be happy because before I would always felt like if I was not happy, I would have to hide because in my head, I thought like I didn't want my negative energy to affect anyone else. And then with these girls, it's like when they cried, when they were sad, my heart went out to them. And I was like, oh no, I'm here for you. Because it was like the type of friendship that developed was one where it's like, everyone wanted to become a better person. But, you know, as you go through life, you know, you do experience like some hardship and stuff. And so that shifted my relationship with my audience because now I was no longer leaning on the audience in a way to like deal with all my laundry. And instead it became more about, hey, let me just document the good stuff, you know, and all the negative stuff, I'll deal with it in private. And so that was like an evolution. My whole content creation journey has always been document, don't create, which didn't come from me. It came from like Gary Vee, where it's like, I'm literally just documenting my life and me going through my journey of life. Also while bearing in mind, trying to create pieces of content that would also be useful to the audience. And how I do that and in a way that is fulfilling for me is like I document stuff that I'm interested about. So for a long time it was martial arts. For a long time it was coding in martial arts, and that's how I branded myself originally. I was Fight Code Julia.
Nice.
Where I would create coding content and I create fighting content, and I was just like, it's perfect. I was like such a memorable personal brand. Like, girl, fighter, coder. I'm a genius. Like everyone's gonna remember me. Great brand. But the issue was like, and this is what happened was like originally my audience was more the coding audience. And like one coder who's like really smart, he was like, Julie, you need to double down on one thing. You need to niche down on coding or you need to niche down on fighting. But creating content for both is going to confuse the algorithm and is like, you're not growing because of this. You have to like get rid of one. And I didn't want to because I was just like, but I don't want to just code. I don't want to just fight. Like I want to do both. Because like coding is good for the brain, fighting is good for the body. But then eventually it got to a point where I wasn't earning enough income from coding because like I moved to Thailand too young and all the jobs, remote jobs, the time zone between Thailand and the States would have never have worked. And so eventually it shifted to Fight Nomad Julia because I was starting to earn income by creating content for companies, for businesses. And that became like a monthly recurring revenue model, which actually worked quite well. And so I was just like, okay, this is working. Okay, I'm going to change myself to Fight Nomad Julia. And that's when I actually started to blow up was when I just shifted to one niche and started exclusively creating content for one niche. Even though I had much more interest than purely martial arts.
Do you still include those other interests in a way? Because it's interesting, I'm more and more realizing this is, you know, we're very complicated people. We know all of our problems and I like a bit of this and I'm creative here and I'd love to share all of this. But obviously you have to be consumable, you have to be digestible.
Yeah.
And I kind of view it as like brand at the front, give people those little bites that they can get into and then they can get closer to you, get to know you more through longer form content. But then eventually there's a pay rule. You know, if you want to get really close to me and learn how I think, then you've got to pay. But yeah, I'm curious then, do you ever like resent it at all? I've met a few kind of like big content creators and they're sometimes like, shit, I have to make another video. And like they've fallen out of love with it.
Yeah.
Do you still enjoy it? Do you still find like it's a great way to express yourself? Would you ever have that relationship with it as well?
I've definitely gone through phases where I was just like, I'm tired of it and this is not me anymore. Well, that's why like I would change my brand. And like there was a period last year where I was just like, I'm tired of fighting, like martial arts. I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to do that stuff. But today, so how I feel about social media is I have an audience on Instagram. My vision now is to shift to YouTube. I want to do longer form storytelling. Because I feel like you can only develop the relationship with your audience so far on Instagram. And I think like the true benefit of social media is actually, it's networking at the end of the day. That's what I see it as. It's basically an extension of you going into an event and, you know, going around shaking hands, introducing yourself. The biggest benefits that I have gotten through Instagram, the opportunities, is all through talking to other individuals. So it's like, you know, my opportunity with One Championship. That's like, you know, one of the guys who does the marketing for One Championship reaches out to me on Instagram, and then we start talking. We have a conversation. It's like the opportunity to work like with these like $1 million entrepreneurs in California. That's because like I was commenting on that entrepreneur's content, and I never thought he would notice me. But then he saw that I had built up this personal brand as a fighter, and he's like, hey, I'm launching this mastermind that's supposed to teach people self-defense. I want you to be a part of it. So, but at the end of the day, it's the network is people to people connections that brings all of the opportunities, and you have to, and I think that's what's beautiful about Instagram is like seeing it as forming connections, like talking to others, taking an interest in others. And that's how you form the community. So these days, circling back to like my relationship with my community, it's much more of a conversation with people. Of course, when you're an attractive girl, a lot of messages are flirtatious messages. And for I think it's now maybe 1 or 2 years, I've had a virtual assistant, and I don't even call him virtual assistant anymore. He's so much more than that. Like I've renamed him operations manager.
Nice.
Yeah, no,
Reframe.
seriously. Yeah. He is like, you're definitely not just a virtual assistant. So Lance helps me manage the messages. And now Instagram has this new feature where you can create different folders. So now I have a folder for like, it's called like flirt people folder. And I'm like, okay, any person who's like all their interaction is just flirtation, we're just going to move to this folder. And that's the last folder we look at.
Yeah.
But like for the people who, like authentically engage, you know, and they're like, they have something to say and they're talking to me like a human, I will talk back, you know, and then develop this conversation. And then now that, you know, I'm launching this retreat, like I have kind of like a purpose now for like my content where I'm like, you want to come with me to like, it's actually kind of perfect. Like it's funny that I'm launching a retreat because I'm a total introvert and I never would have wanted to do that except like someone gave me the opportunity to be a host for a retreat a couple months ago. And so I was focusing my energy on helping them sell that. And then what ended up happening is like my audience was like, this package that you're selling is not ideal because it was like a 20-day digital nomad adventure through Thailand thing. And then like, I was like talking to like people in the States because I was in the States at that time and I was trying to get them on board. And they're like 20 days to step away from my business is too much. And they're like, and they're like, all my clients are in the US. The time zone is like not good. They're like, I can step away from my business for 10 days. But then also is like, because like how we were marketing that retreat was like, it will benefit your business. And then what I was realizing talking to these entrepreneurs is like all their clients in the States, it would not benefit their business to like leave their business for 20 days. Like not only is that like $4,500 for the retreat gone, but you're maybe losing on 20 grand of business while you're away. So then I realized I was like, shit, for my audience, like I have to restructure this offer. Just do you know like of Alex Hormozi? Yeah, like, you know, actually before you even get into the marketing, you have to form the perfect offer first. And I realized it's like I have to change the offer based off of the feedback from my audience. And now it's like it's kind of perfect because like for 7 years, I've created a lot of like tutorials around fighting. And now I'm like, oh, do you want to actually come to Thailand, learn from like these OG, like go to these OG gyms with me? Because if you've been following me for years, you've been seeing these tutorials at these different places. Do you want to actually go there? So yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
That's sick. Listen to the audience, right? A lot of people create something and they didn't even chat with anyone or their audience. I say to a lot of guys, if you're confused, just on your stories being like, hey, I'm giving 3 free coaching calls. I'm not trying to sell you anything, just going to be coaching. And then that will give you feedback to be like, okay, this is what people, it's funny.
100%.
One of my questions was, what was the best slide into your DM or funniest slide into your DM? So in this flirtation folder, what's like, give me some of the good ones in there. What are some funny DMs you've received?
Well, okay. The ones that like were good were the ones that are funny, you know? Then you're like, I can't think of any off the top of my head, but then at least you get a laugh from it. And you're like, because like, okay, here's my opinion. Flirtation can be fun, you know? Like it can be done in like a taste, in my opinion, like I think in person is even braver than online because online you're hiding behind a screen. So like people will say whatever the fuck they want. And you're just like, say that to my face, bitch. Like have the guts to say that to my face and I will respect you, but you're hiding behind your screen right now. So already my respect for you is like not there. But honestly, like, okay, so like what's the best slide into your DMs? The best slide into my DMs is when someone treats me like a fucking human and actually like doesn't try to hit on me because when you're hitting on somebody, whether it's a girl hitting on a guy or a guy hitting on a girl, you are just looking at their face value and being like, you're hot. I want something from you versus, for example, you see an attractive person, you're like, oh, I find you attractive. But then you do a little like, look into the, like, you know, you watch their stories maybe like for a couple, like, and then you see, oh, they like this, you know, they like this music soundtrack. I like that too. And or they take an interest in this. I have that mutual interest. And then you kind of like look beyond the looks and start to like connect with them on different ways. I feel like that's a way more mature way of connecting with someone.
No,
Right.
I fully agree. Because if you're just saying, hey, you're hot,
It's like very immature.
well, yeah, totally. It's immature. And also, it says more about you that, you know, like, yeah, there's lots of hot people. Great. And it's great. But it says that there's going to be no connection. That's all you're looking for. And it's like, for me now, like, I meet someone who's hot, I'm like, they are hot. Great. Okay. But now, like, there's so much more for me to want to spend some time with someone, to put the effort, I'm busy, to put the effort into like texting someone as well. I hate texting, by the way, like just chit chat texting.
You're old school.
Yeah, I'm old school.
Really? Do you call people?
Yeah, I like calling. It's like, hey, let's catch up. And then like texting is more logistics. Like, hey, let's meet here. Let's do this. And then cool. I like that.
Yeah, it's super old school.
Just kind of like chit chat. I'm like, I don't know. It might be because I'm a Virgo as well. People say I'm very Virgo, but I don't quite know what that means. But I now use it as an excuse.
Okay.
As well.
Sure.
Yeah. But I think, it says a lot about the person. It's like, you know, you want to, you know, what do you actually value, you know? But I really wanted to know what's the funniest one. Like, have you been asked for feet pictures? I've been asked for feet pictures.
Yeah, at this point, Lance looks through all my messages first.
It could be a good YouTube video.
So he has to deal with all of them. And then he's just
like, oh, for fuck's sake, yeah.
So I don't even look, because like, that was the thing. Like, you know, for the longest time prior to hiring Lance, I wouldn't respond to messages because like I'd have to sort through like 100 like, you know, like flirtatious messages to get one like heartfelt one. And so like actually people couldn't really interact with me that well because I wouldn't answer. It wasn't until like I hired Lance and then I was like, can you parse through to actually find like you know, the genuine messages, that actually my relationship, I feel like, with my audience has gotten so much better. Because it's like, unless I wanted to start an OnlyFans and monetize that, it's a waste of energy to respond to people who, it
takes a lot, right? And this is my thing with texting as well. Like, I tend to find that whatever I do, I give it, like this conversation now, I'm pretty focused on this conversation. Like, I haven't been checking my phone. I'm not really elsewhere. And I approach a lot of my work that way. So I find that the same with texting. The reason I've had to set boundaries with it is because I will end up putting a lot into it. Like, I really focus on what's in front of me, and I have to focus on what's important, right? You know, these conversations are important and everything else. And yeah, so I've had to kind of figure out boundaries with that as well. Being like, just because it's very important. What's in front of me, that's important.
Protecting your energy?
Yeah.
Basically?
Yeah, okay. It takes me a lot of energy to, like, I'm not just kind of flicking through something necessarily. I'll think about it, but then I'd rather just speak to you. That makes sense.
Yeah. No, that's fair. Because like I when I think about like my life and how much energy is diverted when I'm like checking messages and stuff, there is a lot of distraction that is caused by constantly checking messages. So actually like taking that out maybe would free up so much more time for deep focus. Yeah. So yeah.
How's dating been traveling around?
Yeah, you asked me about this.
But then, okay, more broadly then, I think would be nice. Like, what have you learned about yourself from relationships in general? Like, what have you learned about,
the biggest, oh my God, I'm so sweaty on the seat. I just realized, I just moved, I was like, whoa. I think the biggest insight this past year is you cannot love someone else if you don't love yourself first. Because the people who hurt other people, it comes from a place of not loving yourself too. I believe that, or I believe that, in order to like fully love someone else, I have to fully love myself too, because any put down that I put on myself, just like, talking about energetics and stuff, the other people will end up treating me the same way that I treat myself. So now when it comes to, I guess, dating, it's like I don't look to date because I'm not trying to find someone. I'm trying to better my relationship with myself. And then by bettering the relationship with yourself, you end up attracting better and better people.
That's a great insight. It's a beautiful insight. There's two things that come to mind. It's that analogy of like a glass of water, right? It's not that you're looking for someone else to fill you up. You want to fill yourself up and then overflow with it, and then you're just giving love, and that's when you attract more of it. And it's funny, my brother, you said like hurt people. My brother has a great tattoo just on his arm, and it just says miserable people do miserable things. It's huge. Well, I love it. There's just so much wisdom in that tattoo. Miserable people do miserable things.
Do you know why he got that tattoo?
He's pretty funny. He's very direct, and I don't know why he got the tattoo, but there's a bit of wisdom in there, right?
No, absolutely. Yeah. So yeah, like in response to like, I think that's like my biggest answer is like when you stop looking and instead you focused on your relationship with yourself, it's actually so much more beautiful. Like, yeah, because like I say that also because like my whole childhood I struggled a lot with self-love, and that was like I had a massive mental breakdown last year, and a huge reason for that was because my inner talk was so negative, and I was so hard on myself. And then that's what also kept me in bad relationships, because it's like if my partner put me down, it would just I'd be like, oh, well, you put me down, but like compared to my negative inner voice, it would either parallel or like my negative inner voice would be worse.
Yeah.
And so I think for me this year is the era of learning how to have positive inner talk and to practice self-love. In therapy, they call this concept inner child work, where you imagine the 8-year-old version of yourself, standing next to you. And you think about when you're about to do something, whether it's to like work an extra hour, even though it's already 11 p.m., but you're just like, I have to get this done. You just imagine like the 8-year-old there, and you're like, would I force this 8-year-old to do what I'm about to do right now? Or like, when you're, burning the candle at both ends, would you force that 8-year-old to do that? Or like if you have an abusive partner who's yelling at you, if that partner was saying those things to that 8-year-old, would you just let the 8-year-old sit there and like, and listen to that and believe that? It's your relationship to yourself changes a lot when you imagine an 8-year-old in a way.
I love that. How has that affected your mission and your purpose now? Like, do you have like a lot of play built into your life? Do you have a lot of, what do you feel like your mission is and what you want to get out? You said you want to do the YouTube videos, the storytelling. Like, what's really like driving you at the moment?
Right now, I have because I think like the more I practice self-love and the more I practice taking care of myself, it's almost like reconnecting to the source in a way. It's like all of a sudden the creative energy becomes more pure, and it no longer becomes about the money. The money is a vehicle to achieve the vision that you want, which is beautiful. I've never experienced that up until this year. So at this point, what I have like in my vision is I want to form a team I want it to all be able to be funded. So I want to have someone be the videographer. I wanted someone to help me with logistics. Right now, like the team that I'm forming is like Lance, the guy who's worked for me for 2 years. He stood by me when I had my mental breakdown, and just like and that like means a lot because a lot of people, yeah, he could have easily just been like, I quit. She's gone fucking crazy. But like he stayed with me, and like I hired my best friend a couple months ago, and then to help me with logistics, like traveling around Thailand. To basically, she was like, she hired me to be your wife, basically, because she was like doing my laundry, like getting my food and stuff. And I was just like, oh my God, it's so great having a wife. So now I'm like hiring her again. Like I was like, and I messaged her, I was like, how do you feel about cooking?
Yeah. Wifey, yeah. Nice.
But she's so good at it.
Yeah.
And so like my vision now, because it's like, I realize it's like, yeah, alone you can go far, because like my whole life it's kind of been like I was like, I'll do my own thing. Like even now I'm like part of a retreat, but I just like I like to go off and do my own thing. But I realize sometimes like for a vision, you can accomplish so much more when you share a vision with multiple people and you help other people get to where they want to in life. By helping you and coming together and creating something really cool. So I feel like that's the direction that I'm heading now, where it's like I want to form this team that travels the world with me, and then we go and document adventures around the world where we're like learning different things. And it's like we're going to set like a goal to be like, oh, let's learn how to like speak Thai in 30 days or something like that. But it's like it's the relationships that you build along the way, it's the friendships that you make, it's the adventures that you have that I want to share. And that's kind of like, that's what I feel like is my calling. And I'm not like, oh, we're going to make so much money with this. I'm going to be like, how can I make money to make this a reality? Like, how can I use money to oil the wheels in a way?
That's a huge shift for anyone. Like, a lot of people, when they think of making money, they think, how can I get, when I get money, I can get this. But money's going to stay away from you. You need to think of it as like, what would I use this resource for? And like, if you can be trusted to manage the resource, you have a mission. And like you said, it's the fuel for the fire. It will come to you because there's a mission behind it. But if it's because you want to watch or because you want, I don't know, a Jaguar or something, like those things are great, but it's probably going to elude you if that's your motivation. It needs to be like that fuel for the fire, for the mission. And then it will come there and be the fuel.
I can't speak for anyone else, but I just like, lately, because like if you talked to me last year, this would not have been my answer at all. But recently, since I've been, going to therapy, went through my massive mental face plant, like that lasted for 6 months. Like it was like a lot of
I love it. It's called that.
A lot of insights have come from that. And you realize that because like last year, my lifestyle was kind of similar to this. Like it was like traveling nonstop, going to here, jumping this country, jumping to that country. But I was also burning out. Like I told you earlier, like I'm like burning out. But that energy came from a place of feeling like I'm not good enough and I have to achieve like this financial target. At that point, at that stage, last year, it was almost exactly the same time. I was like, I have to get to this following count. I have to get to this financial goal because inherently I am not good enough. And only by achieving these things will I prove to my family that I'm actually worthy. And again, like I had to really like burn out and really like go to a really dark place to realize how unhealthy that mindset was. It was like a narrative that followed me since I was like very young, because like both my parents were overachievers as well. And it was kind of like a generational thing. Like they never felt good enough. I never felt good enough. Like none of us felt good enough. And now processing that and kind of being like, okay, let's set aside that belief system. Let's actually believe we're inherently good enough, because at the end of the day, like I missed out on like my nieces growing up because like I was so preoccupied with trying to become good enough that I didn't see their childhood, because I realized I was just like, you think about all of those, the fathers who like work their whole lives too, because they think they're providing for their family and they miss out on their whole child's childhood. It's, like what really matters at the end of the day, because we're all going to die. And so I got so blinded by trying to be good enough, but whereas I should have just inherently felt like I'm enough, which is like through therapy, and actually feeling that way, like reorienting your belief system to that, which is oftentimes how you feel when you're young, is actually what connects you to the source of creativity. Like your best work comes when you're not trying to prove yourself.
You mentioned source a couple of times.
Yeah.
What does that mean to you?
Because I'm not religious, so I was raised agnostic. I think if I was raised religious, I would say like God, but instead, because I was like grew up agnostic and I don't read the Bible, but I do believe in a higher power. I do. So instead of God, I will say universe, source.
What's the relationship with that look like to you?
Good question. I guess like I think you connect with God, universe, source when you get quiet and you stop listening to the voice in your like your smile. You stop listening to like the voice in your head, and you stop having that inner dialogue, and you actually allow yourself and you just kind of, in a way, wait for inspiration, it's a different kind of thing as trying to like figure something out. You just wait, get quiet, and the answers will come. For me, because I have a very ADHD brain, so like the concept of meditating is very difficult for me. I'm like, what, just not do anything? Like, no, that sounds horrible. So instead, what I do is when I feel myself getting caught up in my mind, I like to visualize. Like, I love visualizing, like in my head, like kind of like the universe or like the source, like kind of like bathing me in golden light, and I'm being blessed. And that's like the creative energy that is blessing me. And I've been practicing that visualization like the past like couple of months. Whenever sometimes I get too caught up in my head, and then I just like sit back and I imagine myself being blessed. And then it recenters me, because then I'm just like, oh yeah, I am fucking blessed. Like, well, I'm living a really good life. Like, oh my God, I'm so blessed right now. But sometimes it's like you forget, because you get so caught up in your like, I have to accomplish this thing, I have to do this. Oh my God, I'm so tired. And you get so caught up in the minutia that it ends up making me like a very ungrateful, bitchy person, entitled person. Like, so I think like that meditation of visualizing that, not thinking anything like that, that's been something principally that has been felt very good and felt like it's reconnected me.
That's beautiful. There's a great saying that silence is the one and only voice of God. You got to listen. You got to tune in. But it's hard, right? It's when you've got shit going on, you've got bills to pay, all this stuff. It's like, forget all of that. But really, it's all here. It is all here right now. Hey, this has been really fun. Has it been okay?
It has been really fun. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for taking the time.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me. It was like so spontaneous. I was listening to your other podcast and I got like halfway through it, but already like in the first like 10 minutes, I was like, this is so fucking good. Like, I love it so much. And then, when you messaged me, I was like, fuck yeah, of course.
Let's go.
Let's go. Let's do it.
Yeah, we literally made this happen, within under 24 hours, right?
Yeah. I was just like, I'm so drunk right now. Yes. Let's do it. If I don't end up in a rice field, I'm over.
You made it happen.
I was trying to find my fucking calendar. I couldn't find it. I was just like, I'll let you know once I find my calendar. I can't find it.
You sent me that calendar and I was like, I have no idea what days of the week that is. You sent me this time. I was like, what day?
I felt so dumb after you said that. I was just like, I'm going to be quiet now because I'm very drunk.
Whereas I was bothering all of these this morning. I was going, clear it out. I need the studio now. They've been very gracious and cleared a lot of stuff for us as well. So
that's so nice.
It's good.
Appreciate that.
How can people get into your world? How can they
Instagram is the best way. Eventually it'll be YouTube, but that'll probably be 2025 where the YouTube starts growing. Yeah.
Oh, I forgot to ask my favorite question.
What?
Okay, I have to ask you this. So this is my favorite question. If you could install one belief into someone, just you could give it, you go, hey, here's a belief, here's a way of thinking.
You're inherently good enough. I mean, because that's the theme for this year for me. If you ask me next year, it might be something else. But like that, because when the therapist first told me that, he's like, you do realize that, you are inherently good enough if you don't accomplish these things. And at first that was such a difficult thing for me to like wrap my head around. And I was just like, excuse me, if I don't do anything, I'm useless. Like, the fuck? Like I have to be useful. What are you talking about? And but yeah, I didn't realize to what extent I based my value off of my performance and how much that was actually burning me out and exhausting me. And now I strongly believe, every human is like inherently worthy, and if you give them that love and you let them know from an early age, no matter what, you are inherently worthy. Like all these accomplishments should come from a place of not being like, you're not worthy unless you accomplish. It should be like coming from a place of inspiration. I think that's the theme of this year, is you are inherently good enough. And from there, go off, create, right?
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. This was awesome.
Yeah. It was really good. Yeah.
Until the next
good
one.
Conversation.
Smashed it. Thank you, brother.
It totally veered, like it not what we were expecting.
I didn't ask any of the questions I've had, but that's perfect.
Yeah,
Those are
but
the
it was
best
fun. It was
conversations.
like such a good conversation. Are we done? No?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're good.